Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superman, The Infected, which looks a lot more like Bizarro than Superman, if I'm being honest. We'll talk about that more as we go, though. So this one is, even though it's not like a regular Superman figure, it's by far, without a doubt, the best Superman figure they've released to date. When the first one came out, I said of all the stuff that was wrong with it, I pointed it all out, and there's some stuff that was good about it, especially the head sculpt. But I said that there was a lot of stuff wrong with it. And a lot of people told me I was wrong. How do you explain this then? Because this doesn't look anything like that, and this is way better. So, food for thought. Anyway, this figure does almost everything right compared to the other McFarlane figures. Almost everything. It's really well done. There's a few things that aren't great about it. We're going to talk about all of that, but it's mostly really, really good. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands roughly 18.5 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to, let's just say 7.25 inches. And before we get into the rest of the review, let's go ahead and do our question of the day. My question for you is, which color scheme for Superman, basic Superman, is your preferred color scheme? We have the dark blue and red, we have the light blue and red, and then we have the one that's almost like a tealy greenish blue and red. Which one do you prefer? I think personally I'm more a fan of the darker blue and red for the classic Superman look, but you can let me know how you feel about that. Speaking of blue, this figure is purple. This figure looks like Bizarro. If it wasn't for, if his trunks and cape parts were a little bit more purple, it would definitely look like Bizarro. Now, the reason I think it looks like that, and in some ways, to their credit, the figure almost matches this artwork. And there's another scene with this kind of color scheme when he's shooting the laser blast. There's a panel that looks like this, where his blue does look kind of red. But if you'll notice, everything in the image is kind of red. There are countless other images of Superman in this suit with this whole infected thing going on where he's just wearing blue. Maybe you guys can elaborate. Maybe there's a thing that he's actually purple, but I'm almost positive it's only a few panels where he looks purple because of the lighting, and every other panel where he's infected, he's very clearly blue. I'll post a couple images because I know that those exist. But either way, this one's purple, so if you're okay with it, you're okay with it. And if you're not, well, that's going to be a problem. But there is some shading throughout on his chesticle area, which is pretty good. The paintwork for his chest itself is pretty good. And there's not much else. Oh, the head. Let's talk about the head. The head is just wonderful. It's so good. The sculpt, the paint, everything about it. I love it. It's so good. I love it objectively. I love it subjectively. It is so nice. The little black lines around the eyes. Not the ones around the pupil, the white part, but around the eyebrow and everything. So clean. The shading on there. Man, that first Superman had a wonderful head. This one is even better. It is so well executed. So nice. Man, that's good. Alright, so that's really nice. That's all for the paint so far. The sculpt and the paint for the head. Sculpt for the body. The proportioning on this figure is infinitely better than that first Superman. This does not, granted he's a little thicker than probably your traditional Superman, but still, this doesn't look like a dad wearing a costume like that first one did. This figure is so much better proportioned. Front to back, side to side, shoulder to hips, arms to legs, arms to torso. Every part of this guy is proportioned better. The crotch falls in line with the arms properly. The elbows line up with the belly button. Of course, these are all general rules, and it can vary to some extent, but still. The thighs have the right meatiness to them. They're a little bit longer. Maybe still not quite long enough, because for whatever reason these days, even in a lot of artwork, people are drawing the shin bones really long. I don't know why. But even still, even with that, this guy is just so much better sculpted and better looking. It's really, really nice to see. The cape, granted, it's a little bit windswept, but they did it in a way that it's still kind of balanced. I think balance is the key, to quote a famous comic character. It's clearly not just hanging straight down, but it doesn't make it look like you have to pose the figure a certain way. No matter what you do, it's going to look pretty good. And the sculpt work on the cape is really nice. The flow in the torn parts, and it is textured a little bit, so that's good. Only real downside is where it connects to his suit looks like total crap. It doesn't connect well on either spot. It looks like it's connected to his skin. And on this side, there's like 3 times as much cape, and it goes all the way into his chin, and this side it doesn't. So that looks really bad. I don't know what they were thinking with that. But otherwise, it looks really good. The wrinkles in the suit look good. The little bit of like panel lining in there looks pretty good. I would say down here though, the thigh muscles get totally garbled, whatever, muddied. And that looks bad at the top of the knee. Those quads look super weird. But they're still the right mass and that kind of thing. The elbows are well placed. Man, it just looks so much better. This might be the best looking normal human-like figure from McFarlane to date. I think it is. Of all the ones I own or have owned, which is most of them, most of the comic-based ones anyway, this is by far the best, without a doubt, unquestionable. It's so much better looking. So I'm gonna give this figure a 9 out of 10. Excusing the purple. Realistically, I should give it an 8 because of the purple, because I do believe wholeheartedly that he's supposed to be blue. There's so many panels where it's blue and like 2 panels where it's purple, and it looks to me like it's the lighting. But again, we're just gonna set that aside because it's possible. Maybe you guys can tell me that he's actually supposed to be purple for an actual reason other than those couple of panels where the lighting is weird. Okay, on to the accessories. We do get a couple in the package, which stay in the package for me because I don't like destroying my package to get at things that I don't want anyway. We have a trading card, not a playing card, a trading card, which is the same image as right here. So if you really want that, just cut this out or print your own. Who sells that kind of stuff nowadays? Not like this. Not like this. We also get a little black display stand. If you like those, you have it. If you don't, leave it in there. And then the other accessories we get are some open hands to go with his fisty hands that we got on them in the package. And there's a nice little bit of paint on there, and I like them. And he's not all nubby fingered like the other Superman was, so that is good too. Accessory wise, 5 out of 10. Another head would have been great. But we do have the hands, which is fine, but still that's nothing to write home about, so 5 out of 10. Okay, as far as articulation goes, ball pegs, he can look up, he can look down, he can lean side to side, he can rotate, and that's even with his slightly hunchy look to him, which, I mean, that was intentional for the infected version of Superman. He's got a slight hunch to him, and the neck still works nicely, or the head, I should say. The neck is not articulated. For the shoulders, we do have that ball peg again, which again offers almost nothing. It doesn't hurt anything, other than it takes budget out of things that maybe could have been better. I don't get why they're doing that. I mean, there's almost no benefit. Whatever, it's there. It doesn't hurt anything. Again, it's just budget. Full range for the shoulders, no problem there. Bicep swivel works just fine. I maybe wouldn't stick the biceps up quite that far. I get what they're doing, it's for anatomy purposes, but it's binding as you turn, so that is a downside for that. Okay, double jointed elbow, maybe the best elbow they've done for a regular human shaped. Ooh, why is it so cavacious? I'm gonna keep using that word. Why is there such a big cavity in there? Holy, I take everything I said back. Why is that like that? Stop, no, you don't do that. Why is the whole thing a cavity when all it has to do is bump at the very edge up against the elbow? You don't need a giant hole in there. Ugh. Ooh, I've never seen that before. Why would you do that? It looks okay from the side. You get most of your range down here, the rest up here. That's how elbows are supposed to work. Looks good like this. Why did they make those giant holes? Damn. They just can't help it. Ball hinge wrists, I like. Those are good. They don't look bad. Maybe I would have made them out of the flesh tone. I know they did that for cost purposes, but still the flesh tone would have been better in this case. Diaphragm joint. No excuse for limited range on this one. It's just an unencumbered body. Let's see how it works. It leans back okay. Son of a bitch. He can't lean forward. He cannot lean forward on that upper ball peg. Why? There's no reason for it. I showed you guys my prototypes. You can have, like, it's the exact same type of joint setup as this. Exactly the same. This is basically just a bare body. Essentially, it's the exact same thing. And this has no range at all. And mine, he can lick the bottom of his foot if he wanted to. I don't get that. I don't know why you would want to lick the bottom of your own foot. But mine can do it, is the point. Like, technically, that's fine. But it doesn't lean forward at all, and there's no reason for it. The lower one, it also has a twist and a ball peg, but it's also significantly more limited. So this guy who doesn't really have any reason to be limited is very limited. It's still going to be enough posability to be fine, but there's just no reason it's not better. That's my whole thing. It could be so much better, and it wouldn't cost them anything. Like, they already have all of the parts there. Just do it properly and it'll work. Whatever. Hips going out to the side, limited by the diaper. You can see the diaper is already stressing and getting ready to make marks and tear. If I go any farther, that blows. But that is far enough, so I think that's okay. But it is going to tell me what's going to happen here. Yep, I can't raise the leg any farther than that without messing up the diaper. See, look, it's already turning colors. It's turning colors and stretching. So the hips are worthless. Yeah, they look good in a standing pose, but that's not what these figures are for. They are articulated action figures. If you can't use the articulation, make a statue. Barely any thigh swivel. Double jointed knees are weird. They're okay. Better than 90 by a little bit. This is kind of ugly. This is kind of normal. The articulation on these guys is just so weird. It's like you can feel that they don't want to articulate these figures, but they're doing it, but they're not doing it right. It's just so weird. Ankles get decent enough range because they're ball hinges and they work all right. And the ball hinge is big enough as opposed to that one Batman. You see how the ball hinge takes up almost the whole ankle gap? On that one Batman I reviewed, there's a, maybe you guys didn't see that yet, so I'll show you here. Which one is it? It's this one. There we go. In case you didn't see the review or if I didn't upload it yet, look at this. This is what they did for Batman. See how tiny the ball hinge is compared to the size of the leg? And then if you look at Superman, look at the difference. See how much better Superman looks because the ball hinge is bigger and it suits the leg? These things should be common sense. These should be things that people who make toys for a living know. Yet we only get it like half the time. It doesn't make any sense. But you get a decent range out of this one. This is much better done, so that's pretty cool. And then for the toe hinge, wow, is it floppy, and it's definitely in the wrong position on the foot. So that sucks. That super sucks. Get it? Superman. Bad toe hinge, waste of budget. So articulation on this guy, definitely the shortcoming on this figure. It's not gonna kill the figure by any means. And they definitely lean towards the aesthetic, sure, but these aren't so for NECA, I always talk about how they lean into the aesthetic, and so the articulation suffers. That's fine, because they really lean into the aesthetic. These figures are nowhere near that direction. Like, they're not anywhere close to the level of aesthetic that we get from NECA's figures. So the articulation really needs to be better on these guys. Plus, we're talking about things like a diaphragm joint that is already there. The aesthetic is already set. Make it work. Things like that. There's no excuse for it. So I can't excuse this by saying they're leaning into the aesthetic. The only argument is that the crotch would look worse if they cut in the diaper a little bit. So I'll give them that, but there's still just things that don't need to be the way they are. So articulation on this guy gets a very generous 7 out of 10. Okay, now it's time for the final verdict on this guy. I would like a little bit more sculpt work in the bicep. Like, you can't see any of the individual muscles until you get all the way around to the back, and then it's only just a little bit. Okay, so this is probably their best release to date. I know the Thomas Wayne's really good. I haven't gotten mine yet, but as far as the ones I've looked at, and maybe even including that, because this one does a lot of things really well, and that head sculpt sets it far and above most other figures. I'm gonna give this guy a final verdict of 8.5 out of 10. It's generous, I know, there are definite downsides, but once you get this in your hand, you're gonna really enjoy it if you're into this sort of thing. If you don't like purple Superman, then just don't buy it, because it's a purple Superman. But it is freaking good in a lot of ways, and I definitely recommend it. And now you know about the bad things, so you should have no surprises and should be able to enjoy your figure that much more. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed for some strange reason, you probably should do that. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.